Welcome back to Confessions of a Property Investor. My name is Catherine Andrews, Managing Director of Chase Wealth Australia. In today's episode, we will be looking at a view from both sides of the desk, basically meaning a view as an investor and a view as a staff member. And our guest today is a very unique client of Chase Wealth Australia's, as well as a unique property investor and staff member of Chase Wealth Australia. Maxine Garbutt, welcome.
Thank you, Kath.
You're very well. Love having you here. How are you feeling?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Well, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It will be.
All right. And you are unique to Chase Wealth Australia.
Yes.
You know that, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. A big smile. I
Can
love
we
it.
put that in writing, please?
Yeah, well, yes, we should. Definitely. So you essentially started as a client of Chase's, and you started very much as an entry-level investor and moved into a seasoned investor. And then you, not long after that, became a staff member.
Sure did.
Yeah, and you've been with Chase now for nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
And you have the view from both sides of the desk. So she sat on one side of the desk and was presented an investment strategy, and she felt the feelings that and as a client usually does. And now she sits on the other side of the desk where she sees the back of house stuff for Chase. So today we're going to go through a bit of that and really confess to our listeners out there what it's like from both sides.
Yeah, of course. Can't wait.
Awesome. All right. So, look, just a couple of things, Max, just to sort of, warm up questions is the way to break the ice. How had you heard about Chase? Do you want to sort of let us know how we got in there?
Yeah, so this is quite a funny story, if you don't mind me telling.
No, of course.
So my husband got a phone call from a Michelle White.
Right.
And he was like, oh, this girl keeps calling me. Like,
Michelle, you're such a stalker.
Exactly. She didn't give up.
No.
No. And he was like, oh, look, I'm working nights. Can you please take over and deal with it?
Yeah.
And
Handball.
I was like, yeah, handballed it. And I was like, oh, what have you gotten me into? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So I reached out to Mish, had a chat with her, made an appointment. She came out and we sat down. And from there, it was kind of like, I don't know, like love at first sight with Mish.
Oh, I love it. Oh, my gosh. Oh, yes, good.
So we connected really well. Like, Mish came out and we went through kind of like all our goals, our fears, what we wanted to do. I have 2 young kids at that time, how we kind of wanted to set our life up and their life up for the future. And from then it kind of then went to meeting you with presenting our strategy.
For you.
I know, right?
I know.
So
And I think, Max, that's when you came into the office and things kind of got real. Where once you actually engaged Chase to provide you that investment strategy, how did you feel then when you sat with me and the numbers were presented to you and you started to see it got part of it, but things got real. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're either going to do this or we're not. What did you experience inside you at that point? And please be honest, like it's just about how you felt as a client at that point.
Yeah, look, I was pretty nervous going into it. Like, I'd already met Michelle. So she kind of put a lot of ease, in our minds. But, it's always scary going into, looking at property because my husband and I had tried to look at property previously. Investing, and we just couldn't do it on our own. So we were kind of like, oh, these guys are going to help us out.
Is there reasons why you couldn't do it on your own that you felt?
Yeah. So we were trying to buy with our heart.
Oh, yeah.
So
that a good old emotion.
Yeah, that emotion, like we were trying to buy with our heart and we just had no idea what we were doing. We were like, where do we want to purchase? Like, what are we looking for in an investment property? So sitting with you, like, we were nervous, but we knew kind of like deep down you had us.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I remember walking in and, I was like sitting there waiting, like, what are we going to present it with? Like, is it going to be homes? Is it going to be apartments? Like,
yes,
what
that
was
old chestnut.
Yeah. So,
and then did you find, Max, take the property aspect away, Did you find it gets a bit deeper than that in the consultation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it did. Like when we're starting to talk about numbers and like areas of property and
Mm.
growth
Yep.
and, potentials and, the risks and,
The
and the
reality.
gains. Yeah. So it was pretty scary. Like we got, I think we got presented with 3 properties straight
Yes.
up.
I
So,
remember your strategy. It was 3
mm,
properties in one go,
yeah.
and I just remember, Maxine, I remember you so clearly. I remember you asking such good questions through that consultation. It
Mm,
impressed me, and I think I told your hubby that.
yeah.
I think I turned and said, "This one's a keeper."
Yeah, you did.
So, with that in tow, when things did get real in the strategy session with me, how did you deal with the potential onset of anxiety that may have come on, and maybe that a lot of our entry level,
Mm,
investors probably do feel? Do you remember? I mean, I know this is probably taking you back a few years because it was 2019, if I
mm.
recall correctly. Do you remember how you sort of dealt with that when you left the session, or, when you did your own research and anxiety onset itself or presented
Yeah,
itself?
yeah.
Is there anything that you did to cope with that or to
Yeah, look, I think that we kind of felt really at ease. Like
mm,
we kind of knew that we had extra strategies. If it wasn't going to work, what's the worst that we do? We sell up.
yep,
You
yes,
know. And any questions that we had, you guys were there for us,
yeah,
and you kind of like put our minds at ease. Like, yes, like we're doing this for the bigger picture.
yeah,
Like, you know, it's taking the stress out of it. Like, we don't have to look for properties.
yeah,
It kind of our finance was already done. Like,
yeah,
we kind of already knew our borrowing power,
yeah,
so we kind of knew that brokers were in hand, lawyers were at hand. We didn't have to go out and sort all
oh,
that. Like it
yeah,
was already done for us. So kind of like we did have questions,
mm,
but they were kind of like put at ease and we're like, okay, we're doing
we're
this.
doing
Like,
this.
yeah. We didn't
Well,
really kind of, we walked away and we felt great. We're like, yeah, we've got
good.
this.
Good, and that's really good to hear
Mm,
because you were one of the clients that's very rare that a client do qualify for any more than 1 or 2
mm,
properties, so you're one of the big ones. And then, of course, you mentioned bigger picture, and that is the key. Bigger picture is something that a lot of clients' mindset is very much on dollars and cents,
yep.
as you know. Um, was it easy to envision or did it require a lot of work? Probably not, probably delving into the last answer.
Yeah.
Um, you did say that you could see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Flipping that around now, in 2022, you and I started having more private discussions
Mm,
about you potentially coming to work for Chase, and
yeah.
we would joke about it for a little while. And then I believe Maxine and I spoke for real,
Yeah.
and it was, look, if you are keen, please come in and let's have a chat, and we
Hmm.
did. And Max, do you want to, tell our listeners and our viewers a little bit about that transition where you started and where you are now,
Mm.
and your knowledge within the back of house
Yeah, of
portion of
course.
the good old Chase.
Yeah, so I've learnt so much more than what I thought I would ever learn
Mm,
just buying property or
yeah,
investing in property. Like, so when I first started, I started out as the clients and finance contracts.
yep,
So, I've got
mm,
a great look into how like everything's put together. So borrowing powers, what qualifies for the right people and
yep.
and then how it all goes from green light to,
How the file goes live
yeah.
after we present, what goes into seeking a
Yeah.
property. And then I'm sure that with that, you also expanded into client services.
Mm,
So Maxine now is essentially the overseer of the portion from when a client sits in front of me all the way to post settlement.
mm.
So
They're stuck with me the
she's
whole
stuck with
way.
Max. And, how do you relate to clients and how can you have them elevate to the bigger picture? What do you find? Do you see a little bit of yourself
Yeah, I
in there
do.
with the entry level investors? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, I've spoken to lots of clients over the years
Mm,
and, they're like, I'm so nervous. Like, I'm like, I can totally understand. Like, I've been in your shoes.
mhm.
We've got you. Like, nothing's going to happen. We're not going to let anything bad happen to you.
Yeah,
You're like, all your thoughts are validated because I've been in your shoes
yeah,
and I had that.
yeah.
And I know that from our side, we're not going to,
No,
nothing's going to happen.
no.
Like, you'll be okay. We've got you. And when someone said to me the other day, like, my light is shining, and I said, we're going to keep shining it for you. Like, we're going to,
Oh,
we're going to be there.
he saw the light.
He did.
Yeah,
So, like, we're there.
yeah.
We're not going to let you drown.
No.
We'll be there holding your hand. And any questions, feel free to ask.
And do you find, Max, that a lot of clients, regardless of us saying that, they sort of look at it still, and this is, clients playing devil's advocate, which is human nature. They still look at it as a bit of a sales pitch.
Yeah.
They look at it as, yeah, but you work for Chase or me, or yeah, well, you own the company, Kath. So of course you're going to tell me that. In your, from your heart, is there examples you can give our listeners out there of how we mitigate a lot of the risk? I'll give you an example of what I'm looking for just to help you articulate it. For example, have we at the 11th hour pulled a client out of a contract, or how you've seen Chase mitigate risks? Probably a lot of the stuff that our clients don't see that we do for them in the back of house on the other side of the desk. Can you give our listeners some examples from your point of view,
Yeah,
what
of
you've
course.
seen, and then
Yeah. So I've seen valuation shortfalls.
Oh,
That.
don't even get us started there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So valuation shortfalls that have not come in on the dollar, and I've seen
Oh.
property being moved because of that problem.
Yeah.
So, so I've seen those risks being removed.
Yeah.
And then better properties being put on.
Yes.
Or not
And-
better properties,
and double
but
the work for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a lot of work that goes into it, and I can now fully see the whole picture of what goes into, it's not just like coming in and sitting down and going, oh, here's your property.
No.
There is so much more work that goes in behind the scenes, time and effort, and, just everything, making it run, like getting what is it, like the oil moving, the wheels
Well,
moving.
yeah. Getting the cogs moving. And a
that's
lot of
it.
people think that we're like buyers advocates, where we just get given a whole bunch of properties and just flog them
No.
off. And I'm here to tell every single listener and every single troll in the comments section that seem to think they know everything about property, that couldn't be further from the truth. The amount of effort and honesty and integrity that goes into each and every file is beyond anything that I've ever experienced in my whole life. It takes a team of us to have that same character, that same vision. Not one of us can have a corrupt bone in our body, because the minute that corruption shows, it's exposed under our light.
Yeah.
Which, Maxine, you've seen me throw a few people out of our office.
I have.
We've had a few grizzly bears in our time.
We sure have. Yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah, it's been interesting. And, with that in tow, you have got a very good judge of character, I've noticed. And I'd love to leave you open to this. What advice can you give to a new or entry-level investor about the reality of property investing? The fact is, Max, we've got a lot of people out there, they think they know everything. And bless them, they probably look at a lot of articles and see what the media is putting out there, and they have that sense of, for example, this property cost me, I'm down $10,000 for the year. It's cost me out of pocket. The reality of that, what do they miss? What do you think? And please take your time with this. I don't expect you to, what advice could you give them from your heart from both sides of the desk? So you're essentially bi-deskial.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an all-rounder. I love it.
So what advice could you give our listeners and potential clients out there that probably don't think they can do this, or they're petrified, or they think you guys just want sales, you guys just want lead generation?
No.
Reach out to them, Max. Tell them, look at them straight in the eye.
Yeah. So you've got to look at deep down, look at the bigger picture, capital gains, the growth of the property. It's short-term pain for long-term gain.
Spot on.
You're getting this to, better your family, better your situation. It is a long-term investment. One of my properties is a sit and forget.
Yeah.
Like it's just sitting there over time, earning me money.
Yeah.
So, you've just got to look at the bigger picture. Yes, it's scary, but you've got to take that leap of faith. If you don't take that leap of faith, you're going to always have questions.
That's right.
Like I've had people say to me, oh, I should have done this 10 years ago. When is the right time? There is no right time.
Correct. That is spot on, Max.
Yeah. You've just got to do it. Take that leap of faith and do it.
I agree.
Yes, you might be out of pocket. Interest rates are a little bit higher.
They are.
But, tax returns.
Yes.
You're looking at capital growth and gains.
Yes.
So
A lot of people forget that because probably there's a portion of Australians that can't afford to make ends meet as it is.
Yeah.
But your time will come. And rates now, this could be on a completely different podcast episode, but rates haven't gone up in 2 quarters.
Yeah.
So we are seeing that plateau happen, and I know that inflation's gone down a little bit. So there is sort of that hope that every Australian's got now for the rates to start to dip a little bit. And I do say to our listeners, and Maxine knows this all too well, when rates start to drop, that is essentially when people start to happily want to buy investment properties again. And what does that do to the investment market? It drives it up, and then that supply is minimal and the demand is high. So developers and builders start to skyrocket in prices and it becomes unaffordable again. So with what you're saying, Max, there is no right time.
No.
If we can help you do it and you can do it, do it.
Exactly. Like, I have no regret.
Oh,
like
I love hearing that. Did you hear that?
My only regret is I probably should have done it 10 years ago.
Oh, Max, you would have been like really young then because you're pretty young now.
Yeah.
And you've done, like, Maxine is a seasoned investor. She's done extremely well, and you've always learnt more. You've always haven't been scared to ask questions.
No.
But once the question's answered, she'll want an example of it. She's like, I get it. This is easy.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Always learning, like, no question is silly.
No. No.
I've had some pretty
I was going to say, if some clients just driven you crazy.
Yeah, I've had some pretty special clients and special questions, but
yeah,
I don't look at them any different. Like,
no.
Like some of them has said to me questions. I'm like, look, I get it.
Yeah.
I've asked those questions before. Like, no question is stupid.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like,
I agree.
We're not going to just fob you off and be like, oh, sorry.
We want to sometimes, but no, we and this is what they pay us for.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, Maxine, it has been an absolute pleasure having you here. You are a breath of fresh air in our company, and we are looking forward to many more podcasts with you.
Can't wait.
Keep up the great work on both sides.
Thank you.
We'll look after you you'll look after yourself. You're your own client liaison person.
I am.
Do you ask yourself questions sometimes?
Yeah, I do. Talk to myself quite a bit.
All right. No, thanks, Maxine.
No,
it's been great.
Me.
And look, guys, thank you so much for listening. And we'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Confessions of a Property Investor. Take care. See ya.